testified around that time, The Mind of Adolf Hitler. I read about the Japanese imperial system. I studied the Aztec kingdom and all of the subterfuge and conspiracies and the ruling classes and how they engineered societies even thousands of years ago. And then in my high school, I never really did drugs. You know, I smoked pot here and there, but I'd been to parties where people were using drugs. And I also hung out when I was in high school, you know, with college kids. And so I would see the police who I'd see do drug raids at my school. I would then drive across the lake from Rockwall to Rowlett, and I'd see the same cop at a college party selling cocaine. And so then I found out that the sheriff was dealing cocaine, that the police were involved, and later they did go to prison for it. But so I saw them doing drug raids at the school and busting kids for, you know, half a joint or a roach, and then I saw them parading around on the news as our saviors when I knew full well by the time I left Dallas and moved to Austin, that the police and then later I found out I knew I had some friends who had older brothers who were drug dealers in Dallas, and they said, of course, you know, we get our marijuana and other drugs from the Dallas Police Department out of the drug lockup. And then I would see the news saying it's ridiculous, police don't deal drugs. And then later I read about Serpico and other cases, and I interviewed famous New York detectives where in the 60s and then again in the 70s, they had to fire over 75% of the vice squad in New York because they were dealing drugs and running wars. But then the news told me that police don't deal drugs. Then in 96, I watched the congressional hearings where the CIA Solicitor Inspector General admitted that the CIA shipped in the majority of the cocaine during the 80s and gave the crack cocaine recipe to people, and then later interviewed Freddie Ricky Ross and others. And I mean, look, now on Fox News, I have video. You can just Google Fox News admits Pentagon growing opium, and it's so in our face now. They have Geraldo go, I'm going to talk to this colonel in the Marine Corps. Colonel, so you're guarding the opium. Yes, we don't like it, but we actually help them grow it now. And if we don't grow it and ship it out, then Al-Qaeda will get the opium money. So, okay, whatever. You decriminalize it, then Al-Qaeda, Al-CIA that we admittedly created in the 80s, they won't be making money off of it because it won't be illegal anymore. I mean, now Reuters, AP, New York Times all admit our government grows the frickin' smack and ships it in. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. They're drug dealers. They got the drugs illegal so they can get higher prices shipping it in.
Can I tell you, if you didn't say how'd you say it?
Al-CIA.
If you didn't say we created in the 80s, I just never would have gotten the fact you were saying CIA. But that made me go back and think
Al-CIA. I got to ask you, what is the end game here? Because it seems like all of these are somehow tied in to this giant power grab. Who is the head of this? Where is it going? Why haven't we gotten to the point where this entity, this thing that is doing all this, has ultimate control? Where is the end game in this whole big picture?
Social Darwinism, the final revolution. I have literally over 100 government-financed textbooks like Eco Science by John P. Holdren, the current White House science czar, where they say a planetary dictatorship. The Financial Times of London had an article titled just last year, And Now for World Government. And they admit, we're smarter than you. We kept it secret for your own good. It is a kind, gentle authoritarianism, an oppressive system for your own good. We are going to create a global government control grid that controls all the resources, all the money. We are then going to create a carbon footprint because humans exhale carbon dioxide, and we are going to tax that. And we're going to have a one-world government that enforces a one-world, one-child policy, and we are going to phase out at least 80% of the world population as State Department Memorandum, declassified 1992, written 1973, State Department Memorandum 200, and it's double-coded also as a CIA document. State Department Memorandum 200 states that they will use war, famine, and sterilization programs at that time to reach the goals that if third world countries want U.S. loans, half of their population must be reduced. So
Alex, hold on, I'm not to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but just a question on the theory of it, because why?
Not a theory.
Your feelings on it.
All stated fact. I have all their gut. They think we're so dumb. This is admitted. Out in plain view.
If this is what's happening, or if there's a world order, why would those who are in charge of it allow information to be passed so easily in this? Like, when you look at what you could have done in 1975, Abu Ghraib was not even able to be kept a secret. There are really, secrets are so easily exposed now. Why allow the system to progressively get more and more transparent, not by their doing, but simply by the way information is passed?
No, they've actually done That's a very astute point you made. There are psychological warfare studies from the 50s, the first ones I read by British intelligence that were declassified. And then you can read more modern versions in psychological treatises out there about learned helplessness, acclimation, to where now they just basically don't even care if I'm on the air throwing all this out. They know the average person is just going to think it's a conspiracy theory and not actually go read these government textbooks. Here's an example. In Montebello 2 years ago, it was in the Toronto Star that the police attacked their own police as a pretext to then attack the peaceful protesters to create a pretext in the future to just shut down protest altogether. Police admitted that the Pentagon sent in troops dressed as anarchists in '99 to attack police as a pretext to then demonize them on the news, agent provocateurs. And now at the G20 in Pittsburgh and at the G20 in Toronto that was going on this week and last week, they actually have black vans pulling up. We have video of this up on Infowars.com. Black vans pulling up and grabbing protesters, peaceful protesters for no reason, men, women, you name it, children in some cases, and dragging them into black vans and driving away with them. And I discovered, going back to G20 meetings 3-4 years ago in different parts of the world, that it was staged. They were grabbing actors who were role players to scare everyone, and they would do it in front of news cameras to say, you may not just get arrested if you protest, you may disappear with plainclothes men grabbing you and putting you in vans. Well, and then the news says, oh my God, look, the government's kidnapping people. And then now, this year, they're actually doing it for real. So just like Jack Bauer tortures somebody's kid on 24 in front of their parents to get answers, and it turns out he's the good guy, they're reshaping us through Pavlovian conditioning, social conditioning, to accept that secret arrest, kidnapping, Abu Ghraib is good. They're releasing this on purpose. Bush came out 2 weeks ago and said, yeah, I ordered torture, and I'd do it again. Meanwhile, the people he ordered to do it went to prison. But it's all part of a conditioning process.
But why? My thing is, why allow the real information out? Because, like, something like the Freedom of Information Act, that's such an if the world dominance or world order is the issue, why would you allow something like the Freedom of Information Act?
He'd probably argue that there's certain information they would want to get out.
Absolutely.
Now, let me break that down. Very good point there as well. Why do we have the National Security Act? Why do we have the FOIA Act? 1947. Almost everything the U.S. government does is out in the open. The British OSS founds the CIA out of blue bloods at Yale, skull and bones. That's mainline news and covered in the film The Good Shepherd that Robert De Niro made with Matt Damon. But if you watch that, I mean, what do you have? You have satanic rituals going on with the guys that founded the CIA. Well, that's actually true. Who is Skull and Bones? And I'm going to answer your question this way. Skull and Bones, in 1832, this is Encyclopedia Britannica, in 1832, British intelligence came in and made deals with some of the wealthiest people in the U.S. We just beaten the British, 40 years before or so. And they came in, and this has now been released, this is part of their annals, and said, we're going to take over Yale and Harvard and Princeton, and we're going to kind of merge the U.S. again back into the British Empire, but you'll share in the empire. And they made deals with the robber barons, and they said, we're going to finance you with Rothschild money, and we're going to finance the Rockefellers and others. This is when all this got started, and we're going to set up British intel through that's all a secret society was in that day and age, was a private intelligence agency, and they did it through elite colleges because that's where the elite families are. And so that's how we got the CIA after World War II out of British intelligence, OSS, and Skull and Bones founded the CIA. And Americans and the Congress said, you want unlimited power to rob banks, do whatever you have to worldwide to fund your operations. You want